Hey everyone, I'm John Forsey, and today we're taking a look at Katmai, the Bears of Brooks River, designed by Peter Ridgeway, published by Osprey Games. Katmai is a game that has two players going head-to-head, playing different bear cards along a river tile, trying to gain dominance of each area of a river so they can place their bears on that section of the river to score towards several objectives that are available during the game. They'll do that until one of two endgame conditions is met, which we'll talk about after we take a look at how to set up for a game of Katmai. All right, this is the initial setup for Katmai, the Bears of Brooks River. We've got the river tiles set up here in a random order so that all the arrows are pointing in the same direction. Each player has their 12 bears, their bear cub tile, their salmon tokens, a deck of 12 cards. Both players have the same types of cards, they just have a different color back on them. The first player token is here with the first player. And then we have our 4 objective cards for this game. These are selected by picking all 4 cards that have the letter G on them. There are additional objective cards that you'll have access to. These are the 4 that I just happened to pick for this video. There's one last part of setup to complete. So you're going to shuffle your deck of 12 cards. You're going to remove 2 of them from the top of the deck. And then you're going to draw 2 cards to your hand. So you're only going to have access to 10 of your cards for each round. The objective of the game is to use your deck of cards. So each player has 12 cards in their deck. They have the same 12 cards, but you have access to different cards each round. You're going to use those cards to gain dominance over each section of the river so that you can place your bear meeples, matching the patterns found on the objective cards to place your salmon on those cards. And then the player who has the most salmon placed at the end of the game is going to win. And before we get into the rules, we're going to take a quick look at the cards that you'll have access to. So each player is going to have the same 12 cards for the most part, and they kind of vary in what they do. So some of them are just going to have a dominance number, which is used towards gaining control of one of the tiles. Some of them are going to have this little bear cub symbol in the top corner, which is used as a tiebreaker, which we'll explain a little bit later on. In the top left corner, if it has these blue iconography with the lightning bolt symbol, those are immediate effects that take place. So you'll see the symbols in the top left corner as well as a description of what that action is at the bottom of the card. And then there's red symbols in that same location, the top left corner. Those are end of round bonuses that you'll check for. And again, they're described at the bottom of the card. And we'll take a look at those a little bit more as we talk through a round. Just know that each player does have the same 12 cards with very few differences among them. At the start of the round, as I mentioned before, you're going to remove 2 cards from your deck, so you only have 10 cards total to have access to. You're going to draw 2 cards to your hand, and then you're going to have a deck of 8 cards remaining. And each turn is going to begin with the start player. Whoever has the bear token is the start player. They can choose if they want to give that token away at the start of their turn. Otherwise, they're going to pick one of the 2 cards from their hand. They're going to play it face down. The opposing player is also going to pick a card from their hand, play it face down. They're going to reveal them at the same time. And if there were any lightning bolt icons, we would resolve those now. There aren't any here, so we'll just go to the next phase. You'll draw back up to 2 cards, and then you'll continue playing until you've played through all 10 of your cards. There's 2 instant abilities that you may come across each round. This symbol here with the 2 cards and the lightning bolt is going to let you move any card that you've already played on top of this card. And the second one, which looks very similar, this is going to let you force your opponent to move the topmost card of a tile of your choosing. And then these are some of the end of round bonuses you're going to see. So this one would force your opponent's lowest card against this tile to be a 0. This card is going to have its strength equal to the card that's on top of them. This card's dominance is going to be 5 if he's placed on an unoccupied deep pool. So you'll be looking for this deep pool symbol on the tiles along the river. And this card's strength is going to be 4 if both players have the same number of cards on the tile he's played on. You'll keep playing bear cards until you've both played all 10 of your cards, at which point we'll check for dominance at each area. So this is an example of what the end of a round will look like after both players have played all 10 cards. At this point, we'll start checking for dominance on each of the river tiles. One thing to note is as you're playing cards out onto river tiles, you can never have more than 3 cards out on a tile. So we'll check this tile here first and work our way downstream. So the player on this side has 5. The player on this side has 3, so dominance will go to this bear, and they'll get to place one of their tokens on any 4 spaces of the river tile. So we'll go right there. And typically you would check after placing a bear if you meet any of the scoring conditions. With this being the first bear in the first round, we're not going to have anything to check just yet. So we'll go to the next one. So here we've got 4 dominance on this side and 4 dominance on this side, but this player has their cub icon. If both players had their cub icon here, you would have to determine who the first player is to see if they want to place their bear cub first. But in this case, it's just on the one side. This player is going to use their bear cub to break the tie. So now they'll have dominance over this tile as well, and they'll get to place another bear token. And again, you're going to check to see if you match any of the patterns up here. So we match this first one, which is long distance. There's a bear, 2 empty spaces, and a bear. Bear, 2 empty spaces, and a bear. The red X's just means that you can't have one of your bears there. If another player had their bear between yours, that would be fine. It's just making sure your bears have 2 spaces between them. And then this bottom right corner icon here would give you bonus salmon if the tile you got the bonus on has that symbol on it. You can see we don't. We have 2 waterfalls. So we're only going to get to place 1 salmon on that scoring objective. And you'll do the same thing going all the way down, checking dominance, placing bears, and scoring objectives until you've gotten to the end of the river. This is what the end of the first round looks like. Both players were able to get a good number of their bear meeples out onto the river. At this point, you would check to see if any of the end game conditions were met. You'll keep playing until a player has 2 or less bears available in their supply, or your opponent has 4 or more bears placed on the river than you. At that point, you'll go to endgame scoring, where you'll total up the amount of salmon you've placed on each objective card. The player with the most salmon is declared the winner. If there's a tie, the player with the most bears on the river is the winner, and if there's still a tie, the players share the victory. Thanks so much for hanging out during this video for the explanation of how to play Katmai. I hope you found it enjoyable and informative. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button so that you get notified of any future videos that come out. And until next time, happy gaming!